Welcome to Elite's Easter Egg Hunt 2, or Easter Hunt 2. Now, I was on the first one yesterday, and while I had no Wi-Fi yesterday, I was just busy working on the videos for Deltarune. I'm putting them low right now, but that also means I can't even do my video with Jeff, due to the fact that Jeff wanted to do a world together. And sadly, with my connection being spotty, and these 3 videos of Deltarune are ours, by the way. Well, unfortunately, I lost 1 and 2 of the. I mean, I don't know if y'all did watch it, but I lost chapter 1 and 2 of the footage, and then 3, I had to start it off from there, explaining a little bit of the rules, and then 4, I lost the footage for that one because of welcome to storage space, guys. And then, yeah, chapter 5. I think people will be more interested in chapter 5 anyway, since, everyone's seen all the other chapters. But, it's a poor start to introducing my brutal run, I guess. We seem to have only one world. Is the music off? Oh, this is not... Alright, I won't hit the music too much. Alright. Let's begin World 1. Now, it seems like World 2 has not been in development. Ooh, Super Mario. I forgot. We grabbed them now, and then we gotta take them back to this basket. So, I guess I should talk a little bit more about my opinions of Chapter 5. I personally adored Chapter 5. I actually loved it. Even though there was some questions I wanted to ask, because I felt like they were reasonable, especially due to the... Actually, no. Since Chapter 5 just came out, probably shouldn't be mentioning it, just in case for people that still hasn't played it. But I just went on a little small rant, so hopefully no one didn't get the idea. Oh well. Let's see, what else do I think is engaging? I guess I could talk more about my story stuff. So, on the Trello, back then, negating gens, yeah, that's what I call my little omnipotent people. I know I talk a little bit more about part 2 than my own part 1. I guess I'll talk about part 2 a little bit before I mention part 1, because I know, I'm pretty sure most of my socials would involve part 2 in some form, not even part 1. Negate agents used to be called Negadamus, and it was supposed to mean the interpretation of negate and dominate. Now, what is it? Why does negate and dominate matter in the name? Because of the fact that these guys are your pinnacle peak of omnipotence. And by the way, I know omnipotence means full scale. Okay, they're busted. No. In my universe, it's used differently. So, well, probably confused by that. How can the word omnipotence be used differently? All right, well, here's the kicker. Omnipotence or omnipotence means destructive power. So their destructive power is over the roof. All their vessel abilities, which is what we'll call that their energy, but calling it energy is an insult because it's not. But in order for you to understand, I'm going to have to call it energy. There's a lot of things I'm going to have to narrow down, because every time I try to explain this to other people, they think this is way more intricate and complex than you think. Of course, the story revolves a character who's supposed to be the strongest kaiju in fiction, so obviously it's not going to be easy to understand. So, Negatogens, which I came up with the name because of the fact that I used to play this Roblox game back then. It was this weird RPG, and we got to it first. It was a giant Cerberus. There was a Basilisk and all this stuff. And I remember one boss, when we got to this weird sky area. No, I don't think it was sky area. I think it was still somewhere in the weird swamp jungle. If you went somewhere, there was something called a Dajin, or a Dajin, which I found very interesting. Then I think I remember it had something to do with magic or genie or something. I don't remember. It was so long ago. When I found that out, Of course, I wanted to incorporate the Jin part to the name because, well, genie or whatever, and those guys are like, you have to be very specific with genies, or you're gonna, get a garbage wish, you know what I'm saying, or the wish just wouldn't like make sense. Now the reason why I think the Jin part of their name makes sense for these guys was obviously they're conjuring their ability some way somehow, which I'll elaborate on in a moment. And Negata is still in there, basically. It doesn't sound like Dom, but the Negata, negate and dominate in the name is still a part of it. So as long as that sticks, I am perfectly fine with that. And it sounds better. Negatogen? Shoot. I think that sounds spectacular in my eyes. Now, these omnipotent gods have 3 class potencies. I already mentioned one of them. Omnipotent. Just pure destruction. You have omnipresent. I think that speaks for itself. I'm pretty sure you guys have probably seen like a couple characters from what? Sunny.exe, or if you watch the Amazing Digital... Why do I say it like that? The Amazing Digital Circus, Kane is able to warp and change things or move people wherever he feels like they need to be. Or actually, people seen Delta in Chapter 3? Yeah, Chapter 3. Tenna just immediately switches the screen and just like with no say or nor context at all. That's omnipresent in Lanverse Part 2. That they can pretty much change the scenery or bring the scenery to you. They are really good at trapping their opponents with ease. And the last one, which I barely mention, and I think y'all know what that is. Because obviously we can't have omnipotent and omnipresent without the beautiful omniscient. I would probably say that is the most confusing and difficult to understanding class potency. And if that doesn't sound busted enough, I don't know what to say. So omniscience is pretty much just knowledge. If it wasn't obvious, it's just complete knowledge. And you're probably wondering, okay, come on now, all right, you scaled down omnipotent to just be they got massive destructive power. You scaled down omnipresent to just be change the world around you, or that, or that nature, which is way more complex than that when we bring up the vessel. But hold on, we're gonna hold off on that one. What does omniscience do? You are complete mind. Yes, you are the smartest thing, and you are pretty much unstoppable. No, hold on. Hold your horses. Now, of course, for my story, I had to nerf them. Good. Come on now. What story is it alright if that one character just knows what you're gonna do, knows all your moves, knows how to stop you, knows how to counter you, know all your abilities? Realistically, what do you do about that? So, I lowered them down to this. They need to see what your ability is for them to start gathering information. And their gathering information can be arguably instantaneous. I know. I know. It sounds like complete insanity. And most omniscience... Actually, not most. Sorry. I gotta be clear here. All omniscience, when they enter null, that's where they are. It's called null. It's not a void. I know people confuse null with the void or whatever. They all automatically, if they are omniscient, they just get flooded with so much information because their first thing they're processing is the world around them and about themselves already. So they're cracked. They know what their vessel does. But are they hostile? No. They're not hostile. They don't choose to be hostile, nor do they want to be hostile. The reason why they don't is because they are more eager and enthusiastic about learning what is going on around them than wanting to pick a fight. Now, does this mean that these omniscients can't fight at all? No, they can. Their powers are very focused and centralized. They're pretty much like the polar opposite of omnipotent. Most of their abilities is way better when it's a single small shot. So, for example, while omnipotent can make this giant blast or giant beam or giant whatever, right? You have an omniscient that makes focused, censored shots or small beams that will seem like they will just pierce, but then if they make contact with something, giant explosion. Which I might change that a little bit because that sounds more like an omnipotent shot, but I think you get what I mean. What are omniscients like in combat? You can't really do nothing against them. No, you can if you're a... So I made like a weird counterbalance thing or something. I forgot. I think if I remember the order correctly, because I might go back to my Trello, and because there's a lot of things I gotta go incorporate into the Trello so everything can make sense. I'm still having to rework everything right now, re-update, since I came up with like so much information and so much things. So you have omnipotent, right? Omnipotent would beat omniscience because they have huge scale destructive power, and the omniscience would need to keep up with that because any attack could just lead to just a whole, what's it called, a radius blast that will hit them if they are not careful. And for omniscience is stronger against omnipresent, and omnipresent is stronger against omnipotent. I think that makes sense. I don't see where anyone can be confused about that. I think it's simple to understand. I think I forgot the actual order, but I'm pretty sure if I'm correct. One is destructive power, stronger than... Oh, no. Never mind. I think it was the other way around. So, omnipotent is stronger than omnipresent. Omnipresent is stronger than omniscience, and omniscience is stronger than omnipotent. Wow, I can't really remember that key detail. I'll figure it out later. I might have to write it down in my Trello somewhere so I don't forget that ever again. Because I literally had like a discussion with someone telling them like, okay, these are the rules to these, and even I gotta keep up with that. But I probably should be focusing on part one regardless. So, with that in mind, omniscience, as much as they are relevant, because they keep to themselves. These beings are very smart, they're very knowledgeable, so they always stay near like an area with books. Because there's so much to learn. There's so much to understand. It's infinite. And that's why they're really fascinated when it comes to multiverses. And you're probably like, multiverses? What? Why would they be fascinated with that? So can't they just erase one with the blink of an eye? I mean, well, yeah, pretty much. They can sneeze on one and that thing will pretty much disappear. To explain how multiverses work in part 2 is they're pretty much like... I thought it would be cool to make them like flowers. So a multiverse will bloom and they can grow naturally on their own. Don't need to water it. You don't need to do any of it. However, if a negated gen does not enter a multiverse, the multiverse will continue to expand and expand and expand and expand until eventually it can't do much on its own. So you're probably wondering, well, what do I mean by that? What if another multiverse was sitting next to it? Because eventually these multiverses will get too huge. And another multiverse was nearby. They will collide. They will collide. Once multiverses collide, it will start causing disruption amongst each other. Now, what if there's no multiverse next to another multiverse? Well, expect this to happen. It expands too much. The petals, let's call them petals for now. Actually no, the whole flower itself, oh my god. The whole flower itself will just blow up. It will blow up. pretty much restarting. It is starting over its cycle. So when that happens, an alternate universe, like a whole universe of its own story with a whole different individual that is supposed to be focused, because the gate agents have something to deal with called like a in our world we call it the main character, obviously, but in their world they call it a PA. I had a term for PA. I forgot what I called it, but PA is pretty much just Null's term of like, oh, it's a main character, right? Because some negate agents want to take a multiverse, and for some reason they can't either use it to how they want to, or they can't destroy it, and that's because there's a PA preventing them. Now, these quote-unquote main characters, not every PA has the power to stop a negate agent. It's a PA that is beyond one's comprehension. So let's say you have a character that's like universal or whatever. This character is so universal that one of their abilities literally prevents their multiverse from getting like destroyed or getting or anything of that nature. So a negate agent, as well, what's in their name, negate and dominate, will pretty much go in and kill the PA with ease. This is not something you can just stop. And you will know how crazy the scale is once one of my characters, when part 2 start, Chaos Atlas, the main guy that you follow, bro, I cannot wait, because it's I understand, like, oh, no one doesn't know who Chaos Atlas is yet. When he literally becomes the prime definition of love itself, defeats his foes, not with violence. The guy that is super duper friendly, Chaos Lover's Chaos in part 1, I would say it's my strongest version of Chaos, due to the fact that he literally cannot be stopped. He will make you feel love too. And then, of course, he gets taken out by a negate agent with no trouble, because, of course, Chaos underestimates them. Now you could probably blame the fact that not probably blame. No, you won't know. I'll explain this. Chaos is pretty much in part 1, he's a neophyte, and they are able to sense each other's powers. And when you can't sense another neophyte's power, there is a good chance it means they're weaker than you or stronger than you. And Chaos is confident that he's the strongest in his universe. So of course, when he came up against the negate agent, I mean, he safely assumed, oh, this guy's probably weaker. So when he tried to use his lover powers, right, his Chaos Lover's powers and his hearts and stuff, to stop this enemy from being so hostile, he was met with a quick cut in half. Now, of course, I haven't even gotten to the feats of this insane character yet. Even though I think most people will probably just do what they do all the time when it comes to me talking about my characters. Or they might just be like, oh, it's a furry OC, it's gonna be cracked, or some shit like that. For one, why are you listening to me? Two, to explain, I'll just show you the greatest things Chaos has done. So, as far as I can tell you about my character's durability, and I can tell you a little bit about Doubts of Chaos, how powerful Chaos is himself, I'll try my best to tell you the greatest ones so far. Chaos, when it comes to his durability, it's already immeasurable because of the fact that a certain point in one of his arcs, he has to fight his rival again. And their fight was so great, they started fighting in alternate universes. Like, it was bad to the point where their fight was making a universe collapse on itself with another one. Tomru was able to stop Chaos right there and then escape. While their two universes collapse on itself. Surviving 2 universal collapse, mind you. That sounds insane. It's probably nothing new. You probably heard something similar like that. But that's I'm just giving you the small gist of like how insanely durable that is. And you probably wonder, well, how big is the universe for that? Well, I haven't got to that point yet, so I can't really tell you. I just know that's supposed to be a canon thing that would happen. So power-wise, honestly, I wish I could be honest with you about that one. So it may not be chaos. Well, it is still chaos. Never mind. So chaos has these beings called the Doubts of Chaos, and what these guys is capable of doing is being very, very, very impossible to read. And what I mean by impossible to read, I mean like it's bad. And chaos can do the moves these guys do. Excitement, I would say, has to be my favorite one. Now, this guy is shorter than Chaos, and Chaos is like always fighting beings bigger than him in part 1. And what Excitement does involve speed. He loves to run. Like, he desperately loves to run. Like, it's his thing. You cannot stop him from running. He will stop on his own terms. So, how crazy of a character Excitement is? Well, before we get to that, let's talk about greed. Now, I know I mentioned Chaos surviving 2 universal collapses, but what if I told you that he can survive way more than you think? Okay, what gives you the jurisdiction to say that your character can do that? So we have greed. This is a very, 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 very big, fat, obese greed giant. Like, he is no joke. I made sure he was like the biggest, and that's also one of Chaos' doubts. Now, what he is capable of doing is manipulation. He makes an aura of manipulation around himself. The longer he exists, the bigger the scale is. Remember, this is supposed to be base greed. This is not no. Chaos Lover's greed. Like, basically, Chaos Lover's version of these guys and normal base version of these guys are entirely different. Base greed was so intense that he could make small creatures he manipulate. He can see through their eyes, and he can use their power, like their weak power, and scale it up to his own to fight anybody. So he doesn't even have to fight with you. He can make a fly run your fade. So Chaos is having a tough time with this. He can't get close to greed without hearing the noises, the aura of manipulation. And every time he tried, he managed to break through, but it's when he gets too close to greed where it becomes almost unbearable. Of course, greed can't manipulate himself, since Chaos Alice is, well, the host. After all, greed is still a doubt. So when it came down to it, Chaos had no options. He sat there looking at a being bigger than a wall, bigger than a giant mountain, staring down at him, taking over everything, and he knows he's about to get in serious trouble because the neophytes already don't like Chaos's antics. Other neophytes, he is one too. So, what a coincidence that a very small kobold pulls up and asks Chaos, "Hi," and Chaos is like, "Huh?" The little kobold asks, "Are you having trouble?" And Chaos says, "Well, yeah, I can't. How are you not manipulated right now?" "Never mind. Are you able to help me with this?" And the kobold says, "Oh, sure." So, what happens next? I kid you not. I made this man. I didn't think about it. I did not think about how insane that is. And I was just like I did this. I made this like a long time ago too. I didn't know how cracked that would be. what happens is excitement. Base excitement. Not no chaos lover, no name. We're not even talking about no name yet. Base excitement runs. He runs so fast. He leaves the universe. Then he leaves the multiverse. Then he runs around it. He runs around it so fast, it all starts to collide into one singular point. He infuses it into the palm of his hand. But see, he wasn't done. He resetted the multiverse again. And then did it again. He kept resetting it over and over and over. I can't even tell you the number. I'm gonna just say over a quintillion. All you gotta know is this man did that so fast you can't even know the numbers of how many times a universe has been put in the palm of his hand. Every single element, material, everything is now in the palm of this man's hand. And what does he do? He goes back into the time where he just asked Chaos that question. So to Chaos, all he did was agree, and then suddenly he hears the loudest bam, that hitting of a fist up against like flesh. The fattest being. Greed gets knocked back. He doesn't tumble over since he's already sitting. He doesn't really move. The impact was so strong. Greed literally gets pushed a bit, and this man starts to ripple because of how fat he is. And his instinct was to yell, "Ow!" Like, it hurt so bad, he said, "I'm good, I give up." And then Chaos is like, "What?" Like, he gave up. He gave up to that. Keep in mind, that power and that durability, Chaos can also do. He doesn't flex it. He doesn't do it. But if Greed can take that hit, I also made so Chaos can take hits like that. And that is just Neophyte. So, tell me why a Negatogen could just wipe him. He could just wipe Chaos. That's how cracked the strongest kaiju in fiction is. I've made sure to make it known that he is definitively, in my story, supposed to be the strongest kaiju in fiction. And I plan to have a long story with him. Power is just one thing, but all that power doesn't matter if you don't like the character. And the way I'm gonna make Chaos is gonna be so unexpected, so wishy-washy, and I might even have trouble trying to write him how I want to, because there's specific things I want to incorporate to his personality, because I want you to actually, when you're looking at my story, I want you to actually feel like you're with Chaos. Like, you actually feel like you're traveling with this man. You want to understand his feelings. You want to understand his emotions. That is the core part. I want you to understand every action and why he does them. I know I talk about like a whole different versions of my character. I talk about Chaos Atlas. I talk about Final Chaos Atlas. I talk about Brutal Omni Chaos. I talk about Psychotic Break. I talk about the Saturn. I talk about Pre-Incarnate Chaos. Like, all these Chaos Atlases, and yet it's not gonna matter until the main guy that everyone is gonna know is, of course, likely more known. So, where do I begin? After this long rant and me still trying to find these eggs, I think there's a place I didn't go to. I think I can finally get to talk a little about part 1. I only have the first chapter written, and eventually I plan to read it into a video. But I will give you the quick summary. Pretty much, The main protag wakes up on a beach, and what the main protag would do. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. What the main protag would do is, of course, he looks around. He's a little worried. He doesn't know where he is. And then a creature with glowing eyes stares at him from a group of palm trees. Now, he's on a beach. He wakes up on a beach, and there's water, obviously. And there's a whole bunch of palm trees, and there's like a pathway. And within these palm trees, there's something huge there. And you're probably wondering, how tall is these trees? Well, they're very tall. The house, 25 feet kaiju. That's how tall they are. I know, no tree should not be that big, but we'll get to that later. So, she would slowly creep out. Chaos. Well, yeah, we'll call him Chaos for now because it's basically creator Chaos. He gets afraid. He doesn't know what is about to happen. He don't know what is coming. He just know that he's probably screwed. Until she introduces herself, saying, well, poorly introduces herself, acknowledging that he's her creator, Chaos, not know what she's talking about. So her goal is to educate him how to be who he is and to ignore his quote-unquote humanity he used to have. Now, as a neophyte, neophytes are pretty much humans with either the wings or tail of a creature. I think that was a pretty interesting concept, but of course your creations would refer to you as mutants. I know, kind of rude, right? Your creations will refer to you as mutants once you learn how to create some creations. Now, why do they do that? Is because you aren't worthy to be known for anything else. Because your whole goal as a neophyte is to embrace your inner monster, to embrace the inner beast that you are. And so with that, sorry, I had to deal with that random ringing. So with that, what you're supposed to do is to follow what your creation's ideas are and what they want. So, while doing that, you will slowly become, well, what they want you to be, their neophyte, and then they'll address you as such. I think that's cool. You know, you're a creator, you have creations, and things of all sorts. Now, this automatically makes every neophyte a former demigod. I know, that's insane, right? They're demigods trying to become gods, which is what their first creation will teach them. To be a god. Create. And when it comes to their creations, it's almost unlimited. But your zone will always be based around whatever neophyte you are. So, for example, my character is the Drum Monster Neophyte, my little species I made. They are just dragon monsters, dinosaurs, and my character is just a hybrid of such. So I just call him like a mythical T-Rex or something. Because, well, for one, I'm a big fan of T-Rexes. You can blame my childhood when it came to dinosaur training, Buddy the Dinosaur. Lit, but how do I get up here? Okay. So, that's why my character's a dinosaur, or at least a T-Rex. And that's how my species mainly work, the species I created. So, you can argue that there really are just kaijus, or just beasts. I know, shocking, even though the main character, Chaos Saddles, is like, what? 5'9"-ish? 5'10"? It's supposed to be based on my IRL height. Because I like to have my character based more around like my my body type and my body shape. Obviously, I know like almost every other furry does that with their persona. They would have their persona based on them, and that's why I will always stress this. I can't stress this enough. Enlightened Chaos is supposed to be like my definitive version of me. I won't say why right now. I mean, eventually I might say it, but I think it kind of like ruins like the whole the whole process of this. Probably it won't, because it's like so far away. Like I have so much planned for Enlightened, which you won't believe. So it probably won't like ruin that much if I tell you, because you might just forget about it, because it's so long away. But Enlightened Chaos is literally supposed to be the one based off me. So like the yellow symbol with the gold and stuff, yeah, that is me. Don't get me wrong, Chaos Part 1 through and 2 still keeps my body shape and stuff, but not my characteristics as a person. And you're probably gonna wonder, okay, so what makes that change with Enlightened Chaos? That I wouldn't say it's the greatest plot point. I'm gonna sit here and act like that's gonna be like something people is gonna care about. I honestly doubt it. But oh my gosh, I don't know if I should mention that yet. So with that, welcome to understanding a little bit of Enlightenment for me. While I'm searching for eggs. It seems like I'm about to be doing this a lot, just like playing games and then talking. I know it's probably nothing new. I know a lot of people have done that. But I personally like to talk about like personal feelings and stuff. I might not go around and like search for things to talk about unless like something's like brought to my attention, I guess. I mean, I guess I can like make my little opinionated jurisdiction on it. I wouldn't say my opinions are the greatest. I guess it's cool to understand my point of view, though. As you should with most people. Everyone has a point of view and a different feeling towards a lot of things. As long as you're not choosing to be a... What's the word? I don't know the term for it. I don't know the term. I guess as long as you're not choosing to be like a jerk on purpose. That's the nicest way I can say it. So let me get back to what I was saying. I do love the story. It is the biggest thing I'm willing to work on for like my entirety of my existence. That's why I'm understanding art a little bit. Obviously I'm not the greatest artist. I see that my friend Zelox, he's a way better artist than me. He actually likes my art style. Very complimentary. I appreciate it, but I would say his work is most definitely better than mine, flat out. But I mean, that's obvious, right? I'm not as experienced as he is. It was very nice of him to even call my drawing like my own style. Referring to the Pride Month art I did, you would think someone would actually care about that, but nah. Probably because it's a straight ally. Who knows? I can understand that. I've seen some like portions of like the community where if you're just straight, you just can't associate. I don't understand that. I think that's something I should talk about in a different manner. But yeah, I'll probably talk about that in the next video, because yo, what? Like, huh? Anyway, back to Enlightened Rifts. No, sorry, back to my bad drawing. Well, I guess it wasn't bad. It's not the worst, you know. If I really wanted to, I do want to practice on making my female characters a little more wider. Okay, you're probably wondering, like, how much more wider could I possibly be that character? Um, Septeria, I always imagined her at least to be bigger on like the lower side, on the lower part of her body, which I think it's only because of Dragon Jack's stupid avatar, the Moro Dragon. That has to be it. Because I don't know why I can't like unsee it. I don't know why I can't. Hold on. I'm back. Sorry. So when it comes to body shape plans, I have to sit here and be honest that I would say, obviously, my fattest character is Greed. At least before he's Chaos Lovers, right? He would look. I think I might keep him still being the fattest one. It's just like the difference between base Greed and Chaos Lovers Greed, and maybe Perfect Potent. I might not change it for Perfect Potent. Chaos Lovers Greed and Greed. Obviously, Greed is way too obese. Like, he can't move, but he can teleport and manipulate. Like, the man is scary. Like, you could be chilling one moment, and then he just appears in your area, and you just like, oh, you just can't, you can't move your own body, you can't see your own thoughts, and you're all he sees. It's very, very toxic. Chaos Lovers Greed, however, he is different, and it's slightly a little bit more obnoxious. So, normally his aura manipulation would scale around him. But now, it goes beyond that. And he can make it appear anywhere. I know, very awesome guy. He also, you can now see his, you can now see that he can stand. And he can now move. What an awesome fellow. I don't think that's a guy that you want chasing you around. Especially Greed. Now, part 2, I know, I'm on my part 2 again. I have like this bird character called Lindra, and oh my gosh, I wish I could tell you the story with that one. I don't know where to begin when it comes to talking about Lindra. I genuinely don't. So, Lindra is a Jolly Rancher bird, but she's supposed to be a Great Horned Owl. That's a Jolly Rancher. Now, originally, I was going to put her in part 3 in Langrous Honey Buns, which, of course, would involve pastry creatures and all that stuff. And I found her power interesting, because it's supposed to be like your fake, oh, I have the power to one-punch you, you know. And, yeah, I know, Saitama, haha. And the crazy thing about it is, she can't, if I put her in part 3, I feel like she would be out of place. But you could argue that she's not. I guess I'll give you a little more information on part 3. Part 3, when it comes to characters, they have 2 different type of forces. And I'm so serious. The part 3 characters legitimately have Toon Force. They have Toon Force. They also have Force within reality itself. Now, when I mean by reality, I mean like basically down to earth. Like, they're actually down to earth. They're pretty much your average normal, or arguable normal that you think could or could not exist. So, most of the characters in part 3 would follow the rules of who they are, while others, like I'll mention the main character, Honey Baneri, is 50-50 within that. Now, the reason why I would say Honey Baneri has a lot more Toon Force than, reality or realistic is because of the fact that she's an obnoxious character. She's, not obnoxious, sorry. She is a naive character. She doesn't really pay attention to what's going on around her unless there's something happening to her sister or someone that she cares about. So, Honey Baneri is a honey bun dragon. I might give her a little bit of a buff since, she's supposed to be canonly Chaos Alice's daughter. Could change. What she is capable of doing is, by the way, she's not a negated gen. I know. Kind of sad. When. She is capable of stretching her body, and she is one of the many pastry creatures that's able to make her body turn into goo. And she also, if she figures it out, which she doesn't until later, if she embraces her complete naivety, she's able to pretty much escape the thought of reality and just completely reach Toon Force level. Characters like J Monica would explain that to her. J Monica Gummy. She is capable of being everywhere, and I should probably talk about the first actual main character before you get to Honey Baneri. Von Honey Boo Sap. She is a case. You could tell there's a dynamic between J Monica Gummy and Von Honey Boo Sap. Now, I think what makes it bad is that Von Honey Boo Sap is a character that doesn't talk. She can't because of the curse she's put under. She is forced to follow the will of this cult that she was, well, forced into. She didn't get a choice. She doesn't have a choice. She has to listen to whoever gives her, well, a task. I say that until J Monica Gummy enters the chat. So, this cult is supposed to be involving a crimson velvet goddess, hence why when you look at Von Honey Boo Sap, she is supposed to be a combination of a honey bun and a cosmic brownie, I think? Yeah, she's supposed to be a cosmic brownie, so her color is actually brown, with a hint of zebra cake. But of course you can't tell that it's brown because it seems to be almost, well, a crimson color. She has like this weird, like, lighting or light to her, where the brown is a little bit like reddish, almost like it's cherry. And it's only due to the fact that she's under this goddess's curse. She can't speak for herself, but she has the powers of her. So she always fights with Crimson. She's also known as the Crimson Stalker. When she is alone, she just relaxes, takes her time, until she gets ready to, let's say she wants to leave. She tries to leave her house or wherever she's in, and then she is met with a cult member in her face, or at that entranceway, and he or she would shove a paper in her face, and she would have to take it because obviously, you know, this cult has nefarious reasons to use for her, and it's supposed to kill her targets. So she gets one target that she couldn't even kill even if she wanted to. So she encounters J Monica Gummy. She is one of the targets. So actually, no, I might change that. She's supposed to have like another target, which eventually she does get to them, and J Monica would be there too. Well, later, the aftermath of it, because Von Honey Boo Sap is also like, she's also able to make her body goo, so she can absorb beings. So when she does this, she already caused mayhem at her wake. And what J Monica does is when she sees Von Honey Boo Sap, it was a little surprising to Von Honey Boo Sap just the fact that J Monica always kept a smile. It's like she knew what she was getting herself into. So, of course, that didn't stop Honey Boo, or Boo Sap. I was going to call it Boo Sap because the font does something. It's a long name. She would attempt to absorb J Monica Gummy, but unsurprising to Boo Sap, J Monica can do the same thing. So they pretty much canceled each other out. I know, that's crazy. You would think it's a Gario logic if I told you like the size difference between the two. J Monica is way bigger and taller than Von Honey Boo Sap. Well, not that tall, but way fatter, right? So she has more mass. And they cancel each other out, so Boo Sap just didn't care. She just went about her business. But J Monica found that interesting and wanted to be friends with Boo Sap. So J Monica will just follow Boo Sap around all day while she tries to just go mind her business elsewhere. And she can't escape J Monica because of her stupid Toon Force logic. Like, so she could like go mind her business, and then J Monica is just suddenly in the window. Or next thing you know, J Monica would just pull Busap into a little tea party at random, and Busap is just like obviously lost because she never seen something like this before. Because it's one of those rare cases of creatures in part 3 that have the power of Toon Force, and their logic will not make sense. I don't know how that will be, how I'm planning to incorporate that. I still have a story to tell regardless, so I need to be careful. But I think that's another case of like, okay, I have characters that have unique skill sets, and they most likely won't be present as much as I want them to, because of the fact that they can do this, that, and the third. Still appreciate the characters though. I'm not gonna sit here and say I don't. But oh my gosh, notifications after notifications. Still appreciate the characters, and of course I still plan to have a lot of interactions. These powers are only just, well, one thing to the main plot. So expect a lot of conversation, expecting a lot of feeling and emotion. Of course, it's going to be difficult to communicate with a character that literally is silenced. But J Monica makes it work. She just makes it work. And and people might feel bad for Busap, or not, because again, she is the Kremlin Stalker. She is forced to guard and kill because, well, that's what she chose to follow. I guess saying force is a bit rude, because technically she can do what she wants. And every time she attempts to go do her, mind her business, she can't, because J Monica wants to play hero. Like, they could just be minding their business, and the Twizzler TV would be like, breaking news, there's a current danger that's going on, and then J Monica is like, oh no, this is serious. And what happens next is Busap would just change the channel, and then J Monica's like, why are you doing that? And Busap just keeps changing the channel, trying to watch her show. She is forced. She gets the mindset that she is trapped. She can't do anything even if she wanted to. So she's uninterested in looking at, well, dealing with people that are in danger. She's not supposed to save people. She is supposed to kill and absorb them. And that's always been her mindset ever since she was a kid that was using that ritual. So, of course, Busap wouldn't know better, but J Monica would do everything in her power to change her mind. I think that's a cool dynamic. It's probably I probably should talk about character dynamics more when it comes to just me talking about powers. I know this whole time I was like ranting about character powers and such like that. I really should be talking more about dynamics of every single character. But I mean, I guess that's something to be thoughtful when it comes to part 3. If I had to say about dynamic between characters in part 1, kind of hard to tell you when your main protagonist, Chaos, is being lazy. But I do have other characters that people will get to know, like Hydraxian. I probably shouldn't use him as an example, because I think he's the worst example of all time. Hydraxi. I think Hydraxi is a lot more you can easily personally connect with, since he is a creation that doesn't understand what familiars are, and so he tries to be friends with them, but when he sleeps, he realizes that they get older every time he wakes up, and he doesn't understand that these familiars are aging days, and Hydraxi sleeps for way longer than he thinks. To him, it feels like an average 24 hours, but to a familiar, it goes on for years, man. So it hurts him to see, like, all his friends that he has talked to is just, they always disappear, and they don't last long. Eventually, he gets to, see death in front of his face, and this would shock him, because he can't quite understand or grasp this. Hydraxi isn't the one for missions. Later, when he goes to Chaos Alice to talk to him about it, Chaos Alice would inform him And of course, just like every other creation that is learning the world around them, probably shouldn't be learning it from their neophyte, as their neophyte probably doesn't know the amount of information another creation would know. But Hydraxy would go to him as this is his, of course, primary god. This is the person he should be following, since he's a grand creation. He will always follow the footsteps of what his creator wants, and not his own. So that's when Hydraxy decided to accept the reality that life and death can happen. It sucks. It makes him grieve, but eventually he gets used to it, because he starts thinking about the people that he has now that he has to really be mindful of. Eventually, he has to face his own mother, which, when it comes to Hydraxian, and, well, don't get me wrong, they're not the parents. They are the kids of the parents that are really bad at parenting. And their mother only wants them to be stronger. It's gonna be a weird thing with me when it comes to Dramonsters. Dramonster mothers are just like the queens of manipulation and trying to make their kids stronger. Most of antics by them are brutal. I know I made it confirmed. I made it clear to everybody that the first creation that Chaos has, I expect her to be the queen of writing a narrative. But let's talk about her daughter. Anila wanted to have a son, so she would ask her creator to bestow that upon her. So with his magic and his book, he is capable of creating with her, known as Hydraxian. This will later becomes Chaos Alice, Grand Creation. What she does is she watches Hydraxy from the shadows, letting him live his experience, watching him grow up from a distance. With her overseer curse bestowed from her mother, she can always oversee her son, and she just wants to be there in his life, but she's following the footsteps of her mom, because her mom pretty much scared her into thinking that getting close to her son is the worst thing ever. So Hydraxy can't even talk to his mother, nor his grandmother. Sucks, I know. Now, you could argue that Anila has been put under a forced proposal by the mother. And keep in mind, these creations aren't supposed to be like humans, so they don't quite understand this. They're just gonna adopt what they learned from, the older one. Like, literally, when I start doing part 1 and talk more about the chapters, Anikra literally is like, who cares about personal space? Who cares about that? Anikra would know all this, since your first creation is the one that would know a lot about the neophyte. Unlike another creation where they don't get it. They don't quite understand it. Like, I make a stupid part in my story where my female character is like, so how come the men can just walk around with just topless and we can't? And then Chaos is like, are we serious? And then, of course, she's like, well, yeah, I don't understand. And Chaos is like, because of decency and dignity. And she's like, what dignity is there? What are you talking about? We are powerful creatures that can rule over anything. And the Chaos is like, okay, well, I understand that y'all want to be like y'all freedom to do what y'all wish, do what y'all please, but see, I ain't with that. And Chaos will express that, and he lets them know, like, y'all will stay clothed, y'all will have clothes, and no one's gonna argue with that. Eventually, Chaos decided to just say, alright, you know what? And does his best to debate why it's important for the females to have tops. They must have clothes, they must have a top on. Like, he not asking for much. They must keep top underwear on all times. They don't have to do anything crazy. Just that's all they have to do. They must keep those on. So eventually they all came to an agreement where they can wear as much as they want, even if it gets to the tiniest amount of skin-like detail, as long as they cover parts they should be covering, which they all agreed upon. Yay! Yay! Chaos was about to lose it. You know, it's difficult to be a neophyte, and then like you're the only person that knows what it's like to be a decent person with a sense of humanity, while you have beasts that don't understand that. And I think it's a funny scenario to like put yourself into. It's like, oh, you gotta sit here and tell Beast how to be more human, while the Beast is trying to tell the human to be more beast. I think that's a little cool. That's really why I like part 1. I know it's not like the majority of the story. I mean, the majority of part 1 is learning about the other creations, how the neophyte gets stronger, Chaos Saddle's rival, Chaos Saddle's connections, and how his treatment creates the symbol in the person he is. And that's why I try to make it heavily implied that these characters do what they do. I didn't even talk about the setting of part 1 yet, so bear with me here. But I really did find Homestuck cool. Before you light me up, for anyone listening to this lights me up, listen. I genuinely think the concept of like going into a game and becoming a god tier is fire. So Chaos World is literally like that. Well, he is already technically in the game as soon as I read the chapter. And Anikra would express that to him as such. In Chaos, like, you know what a game is? And then she tells him, like, I'm your first creation. I know what to tell you. They're pretty much like your tutorial. So, of course, there's a lot that I have to be sure to explain when it comes to that. Which I'm all up for that. I'm down to explain core details when it comes to writing it. Obviously, when writing it, I don't want to like throw every single bit of detail in your face. I'm pretty sure, obviously, people don't like that when writing, where you just like put every detail in one page instead of just going along with the story and finding it out from there. I mean, you won't be able to ask questions, or you won't be able to enjoy the story if all the answers are just put in front of your face. So, I won't be too vague with it, but I will be a little bit. I'm gonna do some foreshadowing, pretty much. And when it comes down to, oh my gosh, where's this last egg dog? The zones are important. I got the zone inspirational off of Off. Because I genuinely think Off was. I haven't played it myself. I seen videos of it when I was a kid. There's a lot of things I seen when I was like a teenager, to be honest. So, because I was like, I know I was in like a bus with a classmate. He was telling me about something called Opa Toby style, which I thought was so fire. And then I found out it was from a webcomic called Homestuck, or I think he was telling me it was from a webcomic called Homestuck. Because I like Undertale. I think he liked Undertale too. And I guess like he knew about Toby Fox's work, so of course I would check it out as much as he did. And man, I never thought I would love Homestuck. Like genuinely, the music was fire. Everything about it was amazing. The beats just hit right to me. So I do take a couple inspirations from like that part of the scene of gaming when it comes to my work. But then it makes you wonder, when did I choose to be a furry? I think that's something I should probably leave for like another video. Oh my gosh. I genuinely believe that's probably something I should be trying to make a video, to be honest. Um, nothing. It's nothing bad. I mean, you could probably argue it's bad since nowadays, apparently, if you do anything as a teenager that's remotely close to horrible, consider yourself somehow the worst person on planet Earth. Like your entire universe is decided at that moment when you were a teenager. I think that internet logic is a little silly, don't you think? There's obviously people that are obviously young and doesn't understand what they're doing. They will do a lot of stupid things. It's just normal. But instead of like trying to help them or try to help them understand why it's bad, you gotta sit there and crucify them and then make them feel bad for themselves, which I think is gross. Very gross. Like, I guess I'll say like one gripe I have with this shit. I was chilling one day. It was an elevator anomaly. That same video I was recording. Of course, I cut it out. A friend of mine joined. And there was this kid that was there. Because I guess he joined off like one of my friends. And then another friend joined. And what happens next? I kid you not. I was sitting there thinking like, yo, have my generation lost their mind? There's no way like I'm in the same gen with these people. So when he heard this kid, he tells him straight to his face, your mom should have aborted you. And I'm sitting there like, yo, why did you say that? You would not like it if someone said, why would you say that? You would not like it if someone said that to you. And of course, he says the same thing everyone else says. Oh, I don't like minors. And I'm like, yo, that does not constitute you saying that. I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't understand why people is normalizing that type of a mindset. Like you weren't one yourself. And don't get me started with a friend status I saw. He talking about taking lives of all minors like they shouldn't exist. I'm like, yo, why are we talking like this? You used to be one. Sorry, excuse the 180. But back to Enlightened Rifts, and genuinely, I do like my work, and I do like my project. I do like all of the other creators' works I've seen that gave me inspiration. It really did push me to a whole new level of understanding myself. I do appreciate my counselor even telling me to, well, create my own original thing. She told me to follow what I want to do things how I want to. You never thought a school counselor in a private school would tell you like, hey, be who you want to be. Write what you want to write. Make your own original story. I took that to heart. I changed everything. Like back then, like my story wasn't even it was so stupid. It was like it was a teenager's stupid fan fiction. That's how silly it was. A teenager's fan fiction. Autistic one at that. I'm on the spectrum. But you could tell like I needed to create something original. She was right. I literally had like characters from other media that I didn't even have my own yet. That's when I made my own persona. And once I did that, well, the first persona I had was Hydraxian Zero. I probably should point that out. What's the difference between Hydraxian and Hydraxian Zero? Well, Hydraxian Zero was pretty much a insert OC character, I guess. Like, I was like so deep in the love for Undertale. I think back then, like, I imagined like Hydraxian Zero just like somehow changing the Undertale narrative and things like that. So goofy. I think we all have made embarrassing, stupid fan fictions when we were imagining like very creative teenagers. So I guess I can't sit here and act like, oh, that's very deplorable. It's just a normal thing, you know. When we have the creative mind, we just start thinking other things and we start embracing other stuff. Nowadays, if you do that, you are looked at as like a demon. But I think you should be free to express yourself how you want to, enjoy the world how you want to, and that's probably why you won't see me like as much as I want to sit here and say I hate contrarians. I think at a certain point I feel like I do become one when you honestly see the world in a way where you don't want it to be just full of negativity. You don't want the next person around you in the next corner to just be like, gotta watch out for this guy, you know. It's probably why people don't like me, because I don't choose to it's the people I've heard probably don't like me because I choose to my own ideas. Because I try listening to people that I thought would be worth listening to, and yeah, I was met with disregard. No changing it. Nor do I want to, because I wouldn't be the person who I am now without, you know, stuff like that happening. Weird way to look at it, I know. It's one weird way to look at it, but we as people, blah blah, we grow. Y'all heard this all before. We grow, we change, we experience, and we learn. Not everybody is born a monster. They want to be a beast. Where redemption is real, in most cases at least. But you're only a monster if you make yourself a monster, I say. I get so lost in thought. I keep like, bro, what am I doing? Alright, Hydraxian Zero. Yeesh. Blah blah. Self-insert. Not self-insert, insert character for anything. Completely changed him to being Hydraxian Chaos. Unlike Hydraxian Chaos, Hydraxian Zero was more calm, friendly, and easygoing. He actually seemed like someone that you would like to chat with. Of course, I changed that entirely. Hydraxian likes to train. He doesn't stop training. He always focuses on the mission. He's actually supposed to be one of my strongest monsters, and he's a legendary creation. There's types of creations. You have Ultimatum, you have Grand, and you have Legendary, and you have Deity. And these roles are very important. They're key importance when it comes to my story. And legendary creations are able to go above and beyond. They are capable of going above and beyond. And they are happy doing so. If it lets them become stronger, if it lets them break their limits, they don't mind. As long as they get to reach their peak. So Hydraxian was always going to be above everybody else because he always accepts every mission from familiars. He always gets them done, even if it means ignoring everything else that could potentially be a kind gesture. Like, he takes the mission to a deep seriousness. So if anyone was in danger during the mission, or was just a casualty, it's whatever to him. Because at the end of the day, the goal is the mission. I think people can probably respect that. Obviously, I don't expect people like that because okay, what if someone is like in critical need of medical assistance? He is just gonna leave them. You are cooked. You better hope it's some other nicer monster like Hydraxy. But the plot would have followed around him a lot due to the fact of him being a powerful creature. And later it would go back to chaos eventually. So most of these Gibraltars will be brought up and will have like their own signature plot. Now, what I need to do is change teenage me mindset. Well, teenage me to now. Because when I made these Germonters, y'all see my character as a white and royal purple with a black fiery outline. Let's call it a black fiery outline. That is a change. That is the I made a lot of changes to Chaos Atlas, and maybe I won't make it just a Chaos Atlas something thing. But I do need to make it to where each Germonster is not the same. Well, obviously, every Germonster can be different. The reason why the Germonsters in Part 1 have a T-Rex head is because of the fact that it's Chaos Atlas. He's the neophyte, so they're all gonna look like him. So when it starts, they're all black and purple. Black with royal purple. They all start out like that. And what I need to do is give them at least a difference in their design. That's what I'm trying to say. Because all what you have is Germonsters that are black and royal purple with that white outline. That just how do I say this without sounding like they all just have different shapes and sizes. That's it. Like you can tell by their shapes and sizes because one is going to be more built differently than the other. So of course you can easily understand that. Unlike one that's just all similar colors. So what I'm trying to say is, if I decide to put just a frame of their heads, you would probably be confused on who is who, because they all kind of look similar. I mean, yeah, the females will have like a little bit of makeup, lipstick, or something like that, like a clear indicator, a clear difference on who it could be. But when it comes to the males, you probably don't even know. Okay, well, you can tell a difference. I mean, one has a fatter face than the other. The other one looks to have like more of a muscular strength. Basically the face of a strong creature. I'm not gonna sit here and say there aren't no key differences. There will be differences, but I think, come on now, would you really be fine looking at the same basic black and purple design only? So even though they're still gonna get that, obviously I'm gonna give them like certain scars or markings on their body so you can tell the difference between each one. So I can still keep it plot relevant. I can still keep it the same, not much changes. I just have to, of course, work on their design. And I probably should obviously give them an outfit. They all start off naked at first. But then later, when Chaos starts mentioning about clothes and such, they all start to have like their own attire. You basically, you can tell Chaos is now taking his role of God seriously because, well, the creations are actually following it. Now you're probably wondering, what about his role as a neophyte? See, that it's working out. Eventually, they stopped calling him a brown skinned mutant because they always found it's not because they're racist. They obviously don't know what that is. They're beast. I probably should throw it out there because I could already tell it's probably a joke in the future. Why are these black and purple lizards being racist to this one black character here? No. It's just they don't understand like the skin thing. Like they can understand like the slim, smooth scales, but they just cannot understand the skin thing, and they just don't feel like it doesn't look like it will protect Chaos at all. even though it doesn't change anything since he still has the durability. Once he started looking more like a Germonster is when he starts to get more respect from his creations, and his creations will actually listen to him a lot more. Not saying there isn't creations that already listen to him. Deities listen to him. His first creation obviously listened to him. But they always felt, of course, a bit odd at the fact that their neophyte commanding them and doesn't even look anything like them. It's almost like they feel a little, like outcasted from their god. Oh my gosh, like the last egg was. I had a feeling of something over here. Well, since I did find the last egg, I guess I'll just leave it at that. All right, let's go put this in. Finish this. Obviously, I don't think there's like a winter teleporter anywhere. I think that's just GG's from here. So, let me end this off. Oh, that's Elite's Easter Egg Hunt 2. Well, Easter Hunt. Or, why did you put Easter Egg? Easter Hunt 2. Honestly, I did have fun talking about my story for a bit. It's kind of nice just being on VR chat, kind of going around fetching stuff, and then just talking and rambling. I think it's a little nice change of pace and scenery. After all, I do think it's quite nice to just vent things off, or I guess like shoot segments, like it's kind of like a diary. I'm not too sure. I did tell my friend one time, I was like, because when I was studying the Virtual Furry Museum, I noticed there was like a furry that actually had passed away that I was curious in, because they gave him a description that sounded kind of like someone I want to be. So when I checked him out, I was like, wow. I wanted to learn more about him, so of course I searched his persona handle. And lo and behold, I found his Furaffinity journal. I feel bad. I wish he did get to enjoy. I'm pretty sure he had a lot of fun enjoying his time, but he couldn't even enjoy the fandom or enjoy his, escapism of the fandom because apparently politics and such. I don't know, like touching on the topic. I don't blame him. I know it's like important to our life or whatever, but I don't touch that. I'll be ignorant to it for now. I just don't think it's worth, like, how do I put this? As far as I heard about politics, I don't like it because people take it too hard. You take it deep to heart, and you could probably argue that no, there's a reason why they take it to heart, because it affects your life. And I'm good off that. It sounds. I think it was better if I didn't know it existed from the start, but that's just my ignorance talking. Anyway, thanks for watching. You have a good one. Bye bye. Oh, like and subscribe too.